All right, welcome everybody. We are doing a little bit of D&D doing a little tonight. Welcome everybody. D&D doing the Nashkel Homebrew. We have with us Nick. How are you this evening?
Doing all right. Just making some adjustments to my camera here. Doing all right.
Excellent. I can hear you, so therefore we should be able to hear everybody, but let's just make sure. How's Miss Ashley tonight?
I'm doing okay.
Ashley tonight?
I'm here this time, not sick. I'm doing okay.
Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
And how's Mantha tonight?
Doing all right. Had to restart my computer, but I'm almost in, guys, right. I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it just seems like I'm the only one who's a little soft, so I will go ahead and tweak that just a tiny bit. Don't want to blow everybody away. All right, so don't forget, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, first of all, thank you. Second of all, shame on you. You should watch us live at 7 to 10 on Wednesdays. And if you do, you have Svenzone particle points that you earn. Feel free to spend them. And there's a list of things like this up on the stream. 12 different things that I can be forced to wear, either randomly or if you want to pay the extra points, you can pick. You can also do different things like have me speak or wear a cape or handle various animals. So all different, a bunch of different things you can do besides helping the characters, helping the monsters, hindering the characters, hindering the monsters. All stuff you can do with Svenzone particles. So feel free to stop by. If you have Amazon
people can hear me.
Subscription,
I see Sven talking on the stream,
feel free
but I don't hear him.
Yeah, I'm just talking to the stream for a second.
Okay. That worried me for a second.
If you have Amazon
We're not allowed to hear.
Prime, then feel free to subscribe. It's free every month. And you can join the rest of our wonderful subscribers out there. We have a handful of subscribers, so I appreciate it very much. Mantha has already thrown in there the various things if you want to know about the different characters. Tusk, the only problem is right now we don't have the names on the screen, but you can look at the combat tracker and see it there. Plus, everybody will be talking and stuff. So, correct Genesis, Tusk, and Kithri. You can check them out and get a little description on what they do and what they say, all by typing this stuff in the chat. Okay, so that is it for tonight as far as the advertisements go, except I do want to point out, if you're curious, down below on the Twitch stream, or even if I'm not here, twitch.tv/Spencer77, there's a couple links down there for my Twitter, my YouTube, for a couple of things that I sell on DM's Guild and things. So lots of different links. Check them out when you get a chance. All right, so last week, we're not going to do an icebreaker tonight. We're running a little bit late, so I just want to jump right in with both feats. And we're going to start with a recap of last week. Let's go with Mantha. Why don't you remind us what happened last week? If you don't remember, you can also pull up the message of the day, show you connected, and your Kid Genesis is there. Yeah, so you should be good to go. So give us a recap a little bit about what happened last week, please.
Well, since you asked so nicely, so last week we continued through the underground caves that we had found, went further down the river and found another place to dock. And I believe there was a secret door that Kithri figured out how to open, and it led into like a sort of like a storage / docking area, I'm guessing, like basically bringing in like stuff. There was some stuff hidden in some of the piles of hay. I don't think we actually searched any of the barrels, but going from there, we found like a kitchen, and we found some orcs in like a dining room or something on the outside. And Tusk led the fight and tried to be social with them, and they basically said, "Okay, well, let's kill this guy." So we fought them, and we won.
Mhm.
And that's about where we left off, unless anybody has something else.
Not really. The barrels we noticed were food stuff. I just kind of been stored over there, and the orcs did have an insignia on them that I did not recognize. It seemed to be more of a military than tribal thing. If for little information. Yeah.
All right, so the one point of clarification is the secret door. You all came to the back of a secret door.
Mhm.
So when you opened it and then when you close it again, it fades away, blends into the wall. Also, you did not search. There are 5 pens, some sort of animal pen. He's sort of pushed around the hay on the first one, and that was it. You did not search the rest of them. You just opened the door, looked in, and left. There were, besides the very old hay, there were various bits and pieces of bone in the one he searched.
Mhm.
And you guys went through the kitchen. It's very blatantly a kitchen still in use with a boar being currently being cooked on one of the stoves. The other one is off because you heard noises and people could see you from below. So that's where we left off. You are in the room here. You can see from the combat tracker, some of you are hurt. Also, one other kudos. Last week, Craig did a slow spell that was huge when you're dealing with barbarian type creatures that can dish out huge amounts of damage with multi attacks and special bonus actions and things. He slowed a couple of them, including the big boss. So pretty much rendering them useless. So that
I
was a
remember
huge.
that they basically said like, "Okay, so let's all target that guy now,"
Yep.
which was scary.
Yes. Despite that, people are still hurt to some extent. And as the last one falls, what would you guys like to do?
Well, to start, let's go with the ever so classic loot the bodies.
Ooh, love that one.
And as an additional note, Tusk would like to, off of the leader orc, take the, if possible, kind of take the insignia that he had off. I don't know what it's on or anything, but there's an addition so that I could just have that. To which, after we're done looting, he'll ask everyone if they might know about it, but looting first.
It took me a moment for like rational brain to be like, "Oh yeah, the insignia is probably on a piece of clothing," and my first thing was like, "Ah yes, like a tattoo with like his rank." Like, oh my gosh, Jess is gonna skin that guy.
Oh no.
But it's fine. It's fine. I'm pretty sure it would be on clothing. You know, like a normal thing.
Well, if it
for
were
insignia
tribal,
to be
yes,
on.
it would be like okay to assume that it was on his skin because that's how they normally do it. But like, I wasn't there. But Nick said it sounded rather
It wasn't on their skin, as
What?
best I
Yeah,
can remember.
no, yeah.
It was a more military thing
Yeah.
than
Yeah, that's what I
maybe
wanted
even
to
mercenary.
say. I wanted to say materialistic, but I'm like, that is not the word I mean.
Yeah.
All right, so the symbol he has is a 5-pointed star that he's wearing.
Okay. I'll still try to kind of, depending on how it is, just take that, or if he needs to like cut it out, he'll do that. Make a note.
All right, so I'm adding all of their stuff into the party sheet. You're probably not going to want everything, so just let me know when you're done removing stuff, or when what you want, and I'll assign it to you, and then get rid of everything you don't want.
Okay.
Does anything
Why
there
isn't
seem to
this-
be magical of nature?
Why isn't this being added? Hold on.
What?
All right, so yes.
Hello?
What are you looking at as far as to determine magicity or not?
See if anything's carved with runes or anything, or I don't know. I don't know what wizards look into. I'm a barbarian.
Well, first off, I'm not a wizard.
Magic man.
Magic man.
Sorry. I don't know. You went to college.
I mean, yeah. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a crust on my end. Give me a minute.
So while Tusk is looting the bodies, K3, what are you doing?
Well, I was just about to get to that. I was gonna say she's gonna, start peeking around, like listening and trying to tell if there are more enemies nearby and like how many of them there are.
So you came
We
from
haven't
the north.
checked the door to the
Okay.
south yet. Also, if you want to give a more in-depth look to the areas we've already passed through, feel free.
No,
Uh,
that's
only
fine.
kinda
I
skim
just didn't
stuff.
know which way we came from. We usually go from south to north, so
Came from the
just
So-
north,
made an
and there were
assumption.
2 doors to the north that you did not investigate at all.
Okay, well, I'll start with the south, and then I might look up in the north. And I'm like looking for traps and stuff too.
Great flail. Only weighs 5 pounds.
All right, Genesis, what is it that you're looking at
Huh.
to see if it's magical?
Mantha? Did we lose Mantha again?
I heard someone disconnect Discord. It might have been her trying to.
Looks like she's still connected.
Well, yeah, I heard them disconnect and reconnect.
So the Great Flail is not magical.
Hmm.
It's a decent
so-
weapon, but it's not. But it's not magical.
Bummer. Okay. I think Tusk will take the chainmail, just to hold on to. And the javelins. And honestly, I'm kind of looking at the great flail, but nah, you would leave it unless someone else is interested.
21, 30, 50,
Um,
60.
putting that in there for Mantha.
All right, and did you want anything from the list, K3?
I haven't opened up the combat tracker or the party sheet. Both. She might gravitate towards anything that looks magical just to identify it, but she's not particularly interested in keeping anything.
All right, so I'm going to say you're going to take half an hour then to study everything, and you determine that nothing is magical.
Okay.
Actually, if we're going to do that, do we want to? Yeah. Nope. Did we lose another person? Nope. No, I think that was just Mantha. During some of that time, while they're studying stuff, Tusk is going to, after taking what he's interested in, was going to go back and look more into the rooms that they had already passed through, and kind of poke at the hay barrels and such. So you just go to each room, kind of look through the hay barrels just a little bit more, just to give them a more thorough look before rejoining with everyone. Hello?
All right, so do you want 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, here's this.
While I leave Kithri and Jen, and probably correct because he tried to help out. Hey. Oop. Beep, 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 beep. Beep. Do, 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 do. And honestly, he probably snagged like some of the. If the meat is done, he probably like snag like a leg or something like that, and just like a big one of those like big turkey legs, kind of thing, and just munch on that a little bit while he waits for them.
So there's the roasting boar that you could cut some meat from.
Yeah.
And there is a small ruby in the very bottom pen. That's the only thing you find is this little small ruby buried in the hay. in the bottom pen.
Ooh. As I reopen the party sheet. Nice. Tusk would take it. And I guess once everyone was ready, if we're ready to move on from them taking their time to inspect the stuff, Tusk would suggest, hey, let's go look at the 2 rooms from the kitchen before we move in.
Alright, so it looks like you've returned, Mantha. Can you hear us?
Hi, I opened up Discord on my phone because computer is not having it today.
Oh no, we lost you on Discord, or not on Discord, on Fantasy Rounds.
I'm gonna try joining one more time.
Okay.
Did you want anything from the party sheet? Nothing in there is magical.
You want a great axe? You want a great flail?
Not sure I'd be able to use those actually. No, nothing seemed of note.
K3, did you want anything?
Come on, K3.
Like
your tiny
I said,
figure wielding a great flail.
no thanks.
I think it might be bigger than she is.
It probably is. It's a weapon used by giants.
Alright, so now Genesis, I presume you're going to go up with them into the kitchen?
Yeah.
I
Him
I
kind of
don't
lighting
see
the
any
way.
reason why we wouldn't all
So
stick
at this
together.
point, the boar is pretty much burnt
Minus like the leg that Tusk took.
because it's been sitting there for more than half an hour.
I probably should have took off the rest of the boar when I took this leg. Oh, what a waste of good meat.
And is starting to smell of burning
I'm just gonna
meat.
take this off now.
Or just douse the fire.
I mean, we could do that too, but I'm just gonna take this off now and set it off to the side. He like sets it on one of the tables.
Okay.
All right, Kithri, you want to take point looking at these doors? I have not looked at either of them. I just kind of took a chair while I was waiting for you guys.
Yep. Oh, those are fireplaces. Okay. I don't know why I thought they were doors. Why?
Weird.
So you see that the tables themselves are covered in scraps of meat. There's some knives and spoons and stuff. Just a handful of vegetables. And the barrel by where Kithri is water. You guys have not checked the barrel to the south.
Okay. Oh, bit of a change of topic. I actually forgot about this. Do either of you guys recognize these symbols that were on the bodies? Like, particularly this symbol that I took, and I show them the star. Ask them if it's any significance to them, because it's not to Tusk.
I mean, I don't know.
I guess I'm gonna look at it.
I don't know. You went to college.
Well, yes, but that does Oddly enough, that doesn't really give you worldly experience.
I was just trying to... never mind.
I'll take a look at it, though. Do
It's a
I
5-pointed
recognize
star.
it? Okay. Nothing.
Relatively crudely made of metal. It has a sharp point, and it's held on by a piece of cork.
We killed the sheriff.
Ah, shit, guy.
Sorry.
There's a new sheriff in town.
It's about an inch across from point to point.
Just because Tusk is gonna take it back and he'll like affix it to his like strap that he holds the giant great sword that he never uses to his back, which is now actually like has some javelins accompanying it, kind of slinged on his back. But he kind of like pins to that like over his chest. He has now a star on his chest.
Okay.
Why do I feel like at some point somebody's gonna recognize that and be like, hey, wait a second?
Well, so this is actually an old throwback, but there was a time when we basically had this shield that was very obviously evil magic attached to it.
Yeah.
And Tusk's plan, because we knew someone wanted it, Tusk's plan was legit just to have it slung over his back and just walk around with it for like a while, and then until the paladin that was with us at the time asked to take it with him so he could have us take it to his church. And then that player stopped playing with us. But,
I remember the character had a name, but I still only remember him as, like, the chosen one or something.
Chosen one.
That's all I remember about him, if I'm being honest. Maybe I'll,
Dragonborn paladin. Baphomet, I believe.
I think I remember Jen, like, refusing to call him the Chosen One and actually using his name every time, but I don't remember it.
Something like that. I just know.
I think it started with a T.
Was trouble.
Fexire.
Yes.
It's in your proper nouns note.
Oh. Ah. Proper nouns. They get you every time, guys.
So Genesis, as you walked by the barrel to the south, you noticed it did not have a top, and it has ale in it.
Seems legit. Sounds like a popular beverage around here.
So, okay, Theory, how's it coming with the door? After us getting sidetracked. Which I
How is it
for.
coming with the door? I am checking for traps, and then if it's locked, it's pretty easy to check if it's locked. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle the handle.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Triggers trap that you did check.
I said I was looking for traps first.
I push you the roll.
Wow.
You do not see any traps, and the door appears to be unlocked.
I peek inside the door. I open it very, very slow and like listen to see if I can hear anything. And yeah.
Do you have your light spell?
I do have the light spell. I don't know if it's on me. I usually don't because I mostly use the earplugs.
So
Because
it's
they're
dark.
very nice for stealthing when I don't have dark vision.
It's dark.
Do I feel anything moving inside?
No.
Okay. Then I open the door.
It's still dark.
Try to cast some light here, and we can also help you see if you
20.
want to
Craig
open the door all the
has
way.
Light, so
It's dark in the room. Okay, well, I close the door and I open it again.
Still dark.
I assume that if I opened it fully, more light would spill in from, like, I don't know, Genesis or something.
So
BRB.
if you move Krek over, then it'll shine more light in the room.
Yes, I'll move him over real quick. I'll just. Yeah.
Just imagine closing the door and opening it again as, like,
I'll be right back.
the fantasy equivalent of turn it off and turn it back on again.
So you see several large barrels and some smaller kegs.
Well, they're probably full of alcohol.
I just locked Crick in there. Don't worry. Ignore that.
She just shoved him in.
That's Crick. It's fine.
So nobody's going in the room?
I checked it. I popped in for a second. I'm like, barrels. And I left. I mean, I suppose I could smash the barrels and check them, but
Well, I guess when she leaves, Jen's gonna check and see, like, what's in the barrels.
So looking at the barrels, you notice two things. One, you see that they're they're full of, some of them have water, some of them have ale. There's the smaller kegs have oil, and you see that there are different merchant symbols on the caravans. Different merchant symbols on the kegs and barrels. Let me push you a roll.
dice are rolling.
All right, so you remember a couple of the symbols as merchants you've seen in Nashkel?
So they're, like, brands.
Correct.
Okay, makes sense. Did... Oh, never mind. You already answered that. Never mind. Jen just shares her feelings, because I don't want to repeat the exact same thing that you just said.
All right, what are you guys doing?
I'm back. Sorry about that. What a miss.
We checked in the room. Jen looked at the barrels. They seem to be full of different beverages, and some of the smaller ones have oil in them. And they have markings on them, which Jen identified as, like, symbols of, like, some of the merchants in town. So they're, like, brands, basically.
Okay.
And that's what you missed on me.
Thomas Sanders. Anyways, so the next door. Guthrie, have you looked at it yet, or did you just move over?
I mean, I'm looking.
Okay.
I can roll by myself if you would like, Sven, but you just normally push them, so I tend
I
to
did.
wait.
I pushed it.
Wha-
You do not see any traps. The door is unlocked.
Okay. All right. Well, I try to feel if there's anything moving on the other side before I.
There's not.
Yeah, and I
Besides,
opened the door.
you do see the dead body slide across the floor.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was grabbing a dead body in the next room when I tried to move my map.
They don't seem to be quite so dead.
That's fine.
So I opened the door since it
So you
was
see that
not.
there are shelves in here,
Wow.
and
What's on the
even
shelf?
from where you are able to tell that there's flour, sugar, salt, rice.
Wow. Should we try to make something? We're in a kitchen, guys.
Okay.
I'm, the smell of burnt pig is, not, inspiring me to do some baking at the moment.
It's only burned on one side.
Unfortunately, our cooking friend Cromwell is not here.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe when we find him, we'll bring him back here.
Maybe. All right. Well, if that's all there's in there,
Just thinking about how, like, we kind of just. This is the equivalent of breaking into someone's house and just being like, oh my gosh, this food, it's free now.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't have
you
an
left out
owner
important
anymore.
detail. Yeah, it doesn't have an owner anymore.
To be fair, we did kind of show up in here, but we were told by the police to do this. And also, like,
Did the
they did
police
try to kill us.
encourage Oh, okay, fine.
They did try to
Self-defense.
kill us.
I wasn't there.
Tusk was
They-
trying to be friendly. He went up and he's like, "Hey guys, so what's going on here?" And they're like, kill him." And we're like, "Okay."
I didn't like that we came here of our own accord and not sent by other people. Technically, we were sent by the city, but that doesn't.
That
Not
doesn't
sent by
tend
the
to
right
start conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna start moving towards the other door.
So
Unless
just to be clear,
you needed to look at the spices more. I don't think you do. What?
just to be clear, everybody in the southern room had a symbol that they were wearing, and they were all the big guys, the one that you have with the five-pointed star, the one sitting by itself to the south had 3 nails in as an X, and then one going straight up and down, all together. And then the other the other 3 sitting by themselves had an X, 2 nails and an X, all about 1 inch in diameter.
What was that last symbol again?
2 nails and an X.
Mm-hmm.
So there was an X and an XI and a star.
Correct.
By the way, before we actually go out, I was thinking about it, and, like, we never, like, actually looked through the barrels in the other room. So, like, before we go on and never see this place again.
Well, I mean, we have to come back here to
Talking
get to the
about
boat anyways,
to the
but
north?
if you're talking... I think she's talking about the hallway and the barrels in
The
the hallway.
one to the east.
Okay.
Out that way.
Pretty sure we already determined that was all food stuff as well. I mean, if you
Oh,
want to
was
check
it?
my... Yeah. I only
Never
glanced
mind
at,
then.
like, 1 or 2, but looked to be all food stuff. I also went back and poked the hay barrels when you were looking at all the items that you determined were non-magical.
Mhm.
I just went and poked at them. Actually found this tiny ruby in one of the hay barrels, but other than that, didn't find much. Any pockets the ruby again.
Why have we been finding valuable things in the haystacks?
I don't know. Small. Probably got dropped. Coming to 3. Yep. Moving on the map. Are you coming?
Oh.
Want to give a look at these double doors, or should I just open them?
It's always a good idea to check. And she's checking for traps too as she's approaching. And
All right, you have 2 rolls.
wow.
Neither the hallway nor the door seem to be trapped.
I touch the handle very gently. Is it trapped?
He just said they were.
No, not trapped, locked. That's what I meant. Fine.
The door does not seem to be trapped.
Is it trapped?
I'm sorry.
It is not locked.
Okay. Well, she gestures to Tusk. Go ahead. From what I can tell.
Okay. There we go. And Tusk will open the door and step through. He look back and forth down the hallway he steps into. His that looks collapsed as he points to left of the map would be his right because he's facing that way, but it would be left on the map. You coming? You guys could open the other door if you wanted to.
All right, so you see the steps leading down about 10 feet, 7 to 10 feet lower, and the other side is full of debris and caved in cobwebs.
Must have happened a while ago. Hopefully there ain't a giant spider that made those cobwebs. And he'll start walking down the stairs.
We haven't seemed to have very good luck when it comes to spiders.
I don't remember us necessarily having bad luck either. There's another door over here. As he calls from down the stairs. As Krek waits for the gals to move.
As we push past Kid 3.
It's fine.
Tusk, probably not thinking about it, would go and just try to
immediately open the door.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It's not Kethri who's opening the door, though.
And step on through.
All right, hold on a minute.
Oh, sorry.
You guys went from inspecting every inch as you travel to running through and opening doors and everything.
We gotta keep you on your toes.
All right, so yes, neither one of these were locked, and there's a shallow, stagnant pool of water flowing. It's a little hard to tell from here, but as you guys will get closer, you'll see it flows to the east.
Mm.
Go ahead. I just wanted to tell you what you see before you go charging through.
Fair enough.
Which way are you more interested in?
the doors, honestly, but I'm just gonna real quick because I see the passageway curves. I'm just gonna real quick check see what's down the curve, and then I'll be right back.
So you're walking through water at this point?
Okay. Is it like how deep does it get? Um.
Just less than an inch.
Okay.
Enough to get your little booties wet.
Genesis, okay, where are you going?
Sorry, I was just moving to see, like, yes, which spot has the best view of Tusk as he's going down around that corner. This spot, this spot. This is where she's going.
Huh. That's odd. Tusk is going to
You do not see any kind of tracks or anything. You guys did see, looks like the doors have been opened recently. Some of the water has dried, as how the doors would open.
Huh, that's weird. Tusk will start walking back. That's just a dead end after just round the corner. It's weird.
Well, you saying that, Kithri might want to go take a closer look at it.
He's like, is it really a dead end? Or...
it was a wall, best as I could tell. But I also didn't look. And there goes Kithri.
I mean, yeah, no, this is super suspicious.
It's dark, you can't see.
I can cast light on a rock.
You have just enough light from Krek peering, that bleeds around the corner that you can sort of tell what happens to the passageway and such, but that's all.
Like I said, I will cast light on a rock so I can get a better look. If there is no rock, she can cast it on one of her sling bullets and let it go when she's done. Because she doesn't generally like to have light following her around. She's supposed to be sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, give me a moment.
Either never be in the light, or always have way too much light coming off of you, so that even though people know you're there, they can't quite tell where you are.
Alright, so you now have the light spell on you.
Alright, I'm checking. I'm looking for things and stuff.
Very specific.
Mm-hmm.
And while K3's doing that, Jen kind of nudges Tusk and points towards the door. She says, like, quietly, like, I heard something coming from over there. She's trying not to be very loud in case that thing was a person that would hear us on the other side of the door.
So with all the leaks and stuff that this water is trickling from and things, you seriously doubt there's a secret door here? Going to the west or the north?
Fine. Just way too suspicious. She doesn't like it. And she will release the light spell on whatever she casts it on.
with his axe in hand, kind of at the ready. We'll move over to the door and kind of look to the others to see if they are ready to continue.
Sorry, I accidentally hit left. You can take that spot.
All right.
It wasn't intentional.
Kitri, you want to be back there or?
I'm coming.
Okay. And Tusk will open up the doors here. Or, yeah.
All right, hold on a second.
Okay. He's kind of opening it with like the expectation that something is going to be on the other side and like attack him. Kind of mindset. So and body language. Like I'm expecting to be attacked as I opened it. And then confetti.
I don't understand the difference, Genesis. They're muffled. You cannot understand what they're saying.
Well, more of like, I don't know. There's like a difference between like how far away it is. Like if it's on the other side of the door, like 5 feet away, or if it's like 50 feet away, and you're hearing that. Like, never mind.
Echo.
So you see ahead of you, again, this water is not deep. It's just trickling over this floor. It's not. I don't know if you've seen like a leak in a garage or in a basement type thing is what you're looking at. That's why the water is very shallow. It's not, like I said, it's less than maybe quarter of an inch deep, and it's flowing straight ahead into this rift in the floor. Looks like the rift goes under these double doors, and there's a torch in front of you on the wall straight ahead. And I'll let you guys see what you can see at this point. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. There are double doors straight ahead of you. You do hear noises. You do hear talking from the north. And let me see, remind myself.
Nope.
The tokens are locked. That does not make me feel very good.
Oof.
All right, and So it's a deep voice that's speaking.
Cute.
Alright, and your tokens are unlocked.
I think Jen's gonna send Piper in tiny form to poke his head out and see what's going on before we just kind of waltz on through.
Kithori pokes Jen and is like, they're speaking in Goblin.
Do you know Goblin?
Nope.
First orcs, now goblins. Oh. That makes shitty batty rams no matter what. Are you sending Piper forward, or should I go, or can I go forward? Tusk
Says
asks
it's
Jen.
his turn.
Mhm.
His turn with the Xbox. But in this case, it's murder on the front line. Woo.
Once upon a time, I did use a goblin as a battering ram. He was ineffective.
Okay, so Piper is going to pop out, and I forgot, how deep does that crack go?
You don't know. It is
Okay.
deeper than you can see, more than 2 feet.
Okay, so he's just going to kind of follow along the wall then.
Alright, so give me a stealth check for him. Do you have his sheet?
I do.
Alright, so this is the one time where this is sort of biting us in the ass because now everybody can see everything. So let me
If you
go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll just go ahead and tell you everybody what they can see, and you're just gonna have to. I'm gonna rely on you to try to pretend you don't know everything.
If everybody just clicks on their characters' heads, they can look through their own eyes. Sorry, I interrupted you. Keep going.
All right, so you see this huge crevasse that runs up and down the end of the room to the other. It's a little confusing, but as you can see from the picture, on the right side, the eastern side, it's mostly rubble. On the western side, there is a landing that goes up, and in the very, very front is this sort of like a temple area where an altar is. You see in the front, you see 2 hill giants, and you hear noises from the west. Some sounds like talking again in the same language as from before. And let me double check and make sure none of these see Piper. 12, 10, 10.
Lucky for us, stealth is actually one of the 2 skills that I can roll for with Piper.
Woo.
Alright, and as you see in the picture and on the map, there's this huge statue. It's made of iron, that's out with arms outstretched like it's holding back the crevasse. The map is incorrect. The picture is correct. The hands are below the edge of the crevasse, the big fissure in the ground, and but its head is missing, and there are nets stretched across most of the crevasse, not all of it, but most of it, and it gets Piper has still cannot see the depth of the crevasse because it has not gone close to that. And you
I would
see that
recommend.
the 2 giants are looking at whoever is over to the west, and that's who they've been talking to, and they're sort of laughing and pointing at what's happening over there. Give me a percentile, please. Genesis, Mantha.
Hmm.
You see the hill giant pick up a clod of dirt, a piece of rubble, toss it up, and an arrow comes flying out from the west. From the west, slams into the dirt, and it crumbles
Boom,
as it was hit. And you hear a bunch of laughter and a little shock, and the one hill giant sort of smacks the other one on the shoulder and laughs.
Wait, did you say that was an arrow that hit it? I
Yes.
missed that word.
Yep, an arrow came shooting out from the west.
Okay. I think Piper is going to keep kind of like riding along that wall to try to figure out who is to the west.
So, chat, I really hope they look at their hit points because they are pretty hurt. They need some resting. Honey Butter Sven, 817. Hey, it was a few minutes ago, but Honey Badger Sven stopped by and said, "Bash those shitty little goblins. I believe in you guys."
Nice.
Actually, they just asked who is the most hurt, and that would
Probably
be
Jen, I think.
So in sheer numbers, it is Tusk. He's down 59, but in percentage-wise, it would actually they're almost the same. Genesis is down about a third, and Tusk is down about a third.
Nice.
I'm looking at 59 hurt out of a scale of 145. Jen would be looking at 39 hurt out of a scale of 79. If that helped at all.
Oh yeah, I forgot that my max HP is dropped too.
Yeah, no, I was like,
Oh, I forgot
yeah,
about
look
that.
at that.
Oh, that's fun.
And Honey Badger Spend 7 just said, redeem some points, boost of healing for Let's Heal Tusk.
Very nice.
Nice.
Awesome. So give
Thank
us
you very much, Honey Badger.
a 1d8 plus 5.
Should I roll that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Boop. Do the plus 5 there. And
Awesome. Thank you for the redemption.
Thank you very much. You'll die.
Very nice. We will see if they get the hint. All right, so he heals up 9. Let me adjust that for you.
All right.
All right, so you're only down 50 now. All right,
Mhm.
so Piper is going up to the top of the steps. So I will let you choose. There's as he's poking his head just over the lip of the last step, he sees a bunch of goblins, and there's a torch behind them on the wall, lighting up this whole area. I will let him choose, and let you choose. Do you want to re-roll his stealth, or do you want to keep the roll he had before?
You know what? I'm gonna have faith and stick with whatever he had before. I don't know what it was, but I'm just gonna say that maybe it was good. Who knows?
Awesome. All right. So let me check
Turns out I'm
and
just
see
not
if
one.
any of them see him.
Well, at least this time won't be the lightning.
Well, the good news is, while they are many things, perceptive is not one of them. So while there are several of them up there, you do not see anything. Are you what is his intelligence?
But Jen is looking through his eyes right now.
Okay. So if you're looking through its eyes, then there are 5 goblins on this side. You have a perception of 13. Yeah, so you see two giants and 5 goblins.
And with that, Piper's going to scamper back, and Jen will relay the information that, hey guys, there's 5 goblins and 2 hill giants over there. It's gonna be fun.
Alrighty then. Ugh. Let's go have a nice tussle. I don't think they'll be that interested in talking, so let's go have some fun. um, does anyone
That's what
want
they
to do
see.
anything before I
2
go
different
and rush
types of
them?
hill giants. One sorcerer. The
I'll go
sniper
ahead
they
and
don't actually
cast Mirror
see.
Image. I don't use my
And
spells
there's
that
4 of
often.
these goblin guards. So it's going to be
Okay.
interesting.
I'm thinking I'll head straight for the hill giants. If someone else wants to go and cover for the goblins.
So Genesis, we closed it already, but there was 1 purple one and 4 of the other ones that you saw right now. You didn't see any with the bow and arrow.
Oh heck, do you mind sending that to me again? I misclicked.
So don't forget, guys, you can right click on any image and minimize it. It's about 2 o'clock in the radio dial. If you want to hold on to that, it makes it a little squared. You can then move around it and slide somewhere else. There's also
Whoa!
you can also always drag it down to the bottom in your hotkey and then just delete it when you're done. So a couple different choices, a couple different things you can do. And that's true for any image, any map.
Trek will mention that depending on how they're lined up, he could possibly deal with all the goblins almost at once.
Maybe.
Jen, are the goblins all because I actually didn't look, but were the goblins just standing in a line, or were they like more grouped up and staggered?
I'm gonna have to revert to spent.
I mean, you can click
I'm
on
gonna
paper.
words.
It was a little
I'm
hard
gonna
to tell.
go to spend
They
for
were
that because
just looked like they were clustered around, moving around and stuff. They weren't stagnant, but they were not in a line.
Yeah.
All right, what you guys doing? Doors are open, water's flowing, torches are sputtering.
Kirk's gonna be like, maybe allow me to get the first
No, go for
trigger
it.
off. I'm going to try and do what I did to the orcs earlier to the giants.
wait, before you do that, as a preparation, John's gonna use bless because I never use it.
Okay.
Wow.
And I am upcasting it so I can bless all 4 of us. So it is 2nd level now.
Wow.
Wow.
Piper's all sad she didn't bless him.
Oh.
Well, to be fair, the intention is that he's crawling back up on my shoulder.
You're gonna make your familiar big again.
All right, so as you guys get ready to move into the room, go ahead and roll initiative, and we're going to take a quick 5-minute break. We will be back at 8:49.
Mhm.
8:39. Sorry, we'll make it 8:40.
Okay.
So glad I decided to do that before we were in initiative.
Yep.
So thanks again, Honey Badger. Hope anybody else, including Micah, hanging out in the chat, come back. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Okay. Bye.
Wednesday. All right, I am back. We will see if the players are back yet. All right, we are back live and rolling again. Mantha redeemed a quote. Very nice.
I did laugh at that one.
Yeah, the earlier one he did was pretty funny too. You can spend 10 minutes to identify an item, or you can throw a brick at it. I choose the brick every time.
And we still have our viewer. Don't worry, we will try our best not to disappoint.
I love butt rope. It's my favorite type of rope. Another quote by Svenzone. All right. See, I could explain all these quotes too, but it's more fun when you're just guessing.
Nah, leave it to mystery.
It made sense at the time. Okay. All right. So does everybody have initiative?
Yes.
Believe so.
Yep. Is everybody has initiative? All right. So Kithri, what would you like to do? And you said Piper's on.
Piper is back on Jen's shoulder where he normally sits.
So if you don't have sound on, you should turn the sound on to the stream for a second.
Terrible flutes.
I have the sound on low. I just had to listen for a second.
Oh, I was looking at that sound redemption earlier. Waiting to play it the next time Jen uses her salute for like a performance.
It is so terrible. It's so terrible. I love it. It makes me crack up every time I hear it.
It's so funny because like it's actually hard to be bad on recorder. Like it's actually hard to mess up that bad. So it's like
actually, Sven, before we actually really get started, I'm going to redeem a boost of healing for Jen.
Very nice. Very nice.
Aww.
You guys definitely need to do something. All right. I'm sure maybe they're all friendly. Maybe they're just having a bake sale. I want to sell you some stuff.
I would like the spider bagels, thank you.
All right, so
Heard
go
the
ahead
spider
and
side
give me a D8 plus 5, Genesis. Nice, not bad. 8.
What?
Yay! Thank you, Nick. So nice.
All right, so now they are only down 31, and we move the map over so people on chat can see a little bit more.
Woo.
All right, anything else before we get rolling here? Let's see. Yep. All right, so anything else before we get rolling? If not, Kithri, take it away.
Like I said, why am I first? Why is it Tusk first? It's because I have a higher dex.
Yeah. I have an 18 dex, not a 20.
Yeah.
Right, so a little
Because
help.
we got the same roll, could I defer to take my turn after Tusk takes his? Or is that not allowed?
You can ready an action if you'd like.
Wow.
But or it's a move or a attack action. And Svengao redeemed a little help. So I normally wouldn't. This is a little vague, but normally I'll let it fly this time for the next party member that needs it. So you guys have a floating +2 for any time you guys want to use it for a roll, not damage, but any other kind of roll. You can get a +2. Take it.
You also have a extra 1d4 because of Bless.
Mhm.
So we're gonna get the good rolls today, guys. I believe in us.
Sven,
I
quick
mean, I can't
question.
roll a 1, so.
Could that possibly be applied to an enemy saving throw, as in a minus to their saving throw?
Nope, that's a little hindrance.
Okay.
There is such a thing
Different
you can do.
redemption.
Okay.
Yep.
I didn't know there was different. Okay. I just thought I would ask. Well, sweet.
So
Thank
as
you,
players,
Sven.
you guys can do a little help for each other, but you can't do you can do a little hindrance to each other if you wanted to, but you can't do a little hindrance for the monsters
Understood.
as a player.
That seems valid.
All right, so yes, sadly, no, it's just the way it works. You're pumped and ready to go, so you can either do a ready to action, sneak forward. I mean, you can, but you wouldn't be able to wait till someone else goes.
Actually, speaking of which, it looks like Honey Badger redeemed a little hindrance.
All right, so who did you want that to go to, Honey Badger? Do you want to have that? So right now, here, I'll throw up the picture again. There you go. So there's the picture. You can pick one of these guys, or you can just have it be sort of like Svengale did and just say the next monster has a -2. I presume you're agreeing with Nick and you want to hurt the bad guys, unless you want to give it to Tusk, which is Nick's player. All right, so he's doing it to the giant with the sexy beer belly. So
All right.
that's cool. We will apply that, and you guys will see what I'm talking about. Most of you, I think, have seen it on the chat, but if you haven't,
Mm-hmm.
when you get around the corner, I'll be sharing the picture.
Ooh.
All right, so get 3. What you doing?
Yeah.
You could always sneak up and stab someone.
I don't know what's in there at all, so.
Well, you have what Jen relayed through that Piper discovered.
Yeah.
There's some goblins on our kind of side of the cavern that's just up some stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are 2 giants that are on the very end of the cavern. Or not cavern, but room. That are just kind of standing there in big view.
Okay.
They're just around the corner, but they're a ways away.
Yeah. I think what Kit 3's gonna do is she's gonna move here and kind of like stay behind the corner, but try to get a feel for where the enemies are using her tremor sense. And hold her action to attack with her sling. When Tusk moves within range, she'll pop out her head and attack with her sling. There's a kitten on me, and she's cuddling. Okay.
All right, I heard all of that, except did you say you were moving up there and hiding, or just staying around the corner?
I could use my bonus action to hide. Yeah, let's do that.
Kit 3, and Kit 3, and Kit 3, and Kit 3 all hide.
Mm-hmm.
Give me stealth in the chat. I mean, in the
Tower.
yeah, that thing.
Mm-hmm.
No she. Only roll.
All right.
Kitten is kicking
Tusk.
my keyboard. Gremlin.
All right, Crick, I believe in you. I don't think you need to surprise them for your spell work, but I will wait to attack. I'm just gonna go in position, and he's gonna run out. Round the corner and down this way. I'll probably move more after that with using my action to dash. After seeing, but for now, right. I actually
Give
can't
me a
see
perception
the.
roll, please, in the tower.
Okay. I do not see any of the enemies at the moment. I clicked on the wrong tab there. Oh, there we go. This is not going to be my movement official. I just want to see distance. Okay. Okay.
Hold on a minute.
Yep.
So he sees a goblin behind the right next to the hill giant with the lace gloves over to the right, and he sees one here and he sees one here too. So I'm just letting him know that. Guys, that's what he saw. All right, so I sent you a message.
Okay. As Tusk gets there, he's going to kind of clock that, and he'll call back one more goblin on the right side as he kind of stomps down and uses his stepping nail as a bonus action to teleport 30 feet. Oop, that is not what I meant to do. To get right up on the hill giant. I am then going to hold my action to attack until after Krek does his spell.
So there does not appear to be anything on the lower level to your left. To the west, there doesn't appear to be anything on the lower level.
Okay. Right, because it's a lower level, not an upper level. Yeah, I'm just going to wait up on the thing, and that will be my go as I, ready my action.
All right, and if you want
technically,
to...
I would do Kithri's action if she wanted to do that, because I'm now up next to an enemy.
If I can see the enemy just by peeking, if I can get a good line of sight just by peeking,
you can because it's all lit in there.
Whoop. Okay.
It's about 50, 55 feet away.
Am I allowed to do that? I just can't see any enemies where I am right now.
So now that you can see a little bit more, I'll go ahead and share it with everybody. You see the two hill giants but they are both hill giants, but they look about as different as they could and still be in the same race. And let me tell you which one is which, because I didn't take the time to make a different token for the other one. But give me just a second.
How dare you? Unacceptable.
Gloves.
For anyone who wants an update on my cat while we're waiting, she is still kicking my keyboard. Also being cute and purring.
Thieving swing, great club, multi-attack. All right, so the one 10 is ripped, and lace gloves has the beer belly.
Okay. Well,
Still
Krek is
don't let
going
either
to
step on you.
run out around the corner. Oh wait, no. Kithri's still going, isn't she?
Oh
Yes.
yeah, I guess I am.
Sorry.
I gotta do that. No, I took a very long time. It's fine. Wamst.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. Dice. And I'm assuming I will go back because I was just peeking my head around.
All right. So what do we see?
So Kithri is feeling as Tusk is running up, and he gets just outside of the range of her. I need to sneeze. It's fine. He gets outside the range of her tremor sense, and she hears his war cry, and she pops out, sees that he's distracting or has drawn the attention of the hill giant, and yeets a rock right in the center of his forehead. Like David and Goliath style.
Very nice. All right. Sadly, unlike David's
He does not
adversary,
die.
it does not fall
Why?
yet.
Mhm.
All right. So Krek, you run forward 20 feet.
Yep. As he sees this area, he kind of rubs his hands together. You see some sparks kind of start to fly off of it as he then releases them, kind of moving out to kind of cover this area, kind of multiplying until this entire kind of 40-foot area has just a bunch of different sparks just covering through it, and they attract themselves to all the creatures that are in the area, except for Tusk. As he casts Slow, which I'll share real quick. And I don't know if there's any other.
So it's only
What else?
it's slow that you're casting. You said.
Yes.
So it's
40-foot
6
cube.
creatures of your choice.
Now, I actually don't know if
Give me a.
they're.
Let me push him a roll.
Okay. Mhm. Yeah.
Did it go to you or not?
No.
Okay, so it popped up on mine because I chose him first. You're just sort of
Okay.
borrowing him. So go ahead and roll. Give me a perception roll in the tower, please.
Okay, will do. Oh,
All right. If it makes you feel any better, you rolled 2 better than I did. All right. So
whoop.
all right. So he can see 4. It's up to you. He'll only be able to affect 4 that he can see. So he can either cast it or wait.
He's gonna cast it anyways. If he can he sees a couple extra, that's great. He will target them as well. And because he
So
really
he
wants
would need to
the
smooth.
giants.
He's going to move the center of the spell over a little bit so he can get them all.
Okay,
The other ones
sweet.
he can see, but I'll go ahead and target it for you.
All right, thank you very much. I'll target the 2 giants, so you don't have to worry about that. And
Hold on a second. He says this is a 40-foot cube. So yeah, he's gonna. So he can only get 3. So he sees one with. If you look at the picture, there's one with a bow and arrow and one with a javelin. Which one would he want to pick?
Um,
Because they're on opposite sides of the room, and the 40-foot cube
darn.
won't get both of them.
He will go with the bow and arrow.
Okie doke. All right, go ahead and roll your dice.
All right. As I scroll to it again, save. And if I remember correctly, it's lace gloves that has a little
All right,
hindrance,
so the two
but
giants
it doesn't really matter.
got failed. That's right. And lace gloves had a -2 on his roll. And
Whoop.
interesting. The other one got a total of a 1 on his roll.
Eh. All right. I will apply the
Yep, go ahead and apply the effect.
effect as well as concentration. So you kind of watch as the sparks coalesce and go into the giants and seem to go towards another target, but disperse a little bit on the as they get caught on the rubble. And then you kind of watch as glowing on the giants, their nervous system seems to glow a little bit, and kind of watching as the sparks seem to be hindering electrical signals, causing them to move, like be a little more jerky and slower in their movements.
All right, so if you would kill the
Yeah.
square, I'm going to test
yes.
something real quick. I also need a 20-sider from you.
Okay. 20-sider for the spellcaster.
All right, so I was right. So you no longer have to put the C on the bless. I mean, any concentration spell that affects somebody else that has the C on it, you don't have to roll. I mean, you don't have to apply it to yourself. In other words, in this case, you just had to put the slow parentheses C on the targets, and it knows who cast it and who put it there. Same thing with Genesis with your bless. You don't have to put a second instance of bless parentheses C. You just cast it. So for any concentration
that's
spell,
neat.
as long as there's this parentheses C on the target, you don't have to put concentration on yourself anymore. Anyway, let me heal him back. I knew it was a thing. I just wasn't sure if it was with a thing with what I have installed, and it is. All right, so that is correct. Was he doing anything else?
No, he would probably
6.
just stop with that.
And Genesis, I need a
He'll
20-sider from you too, please.
yeah, he'll wait there for now. But that would actually trigger Tusk's held action to attack because he was holding for Kreck's thing to go off.
In Chatter in the Tower.
So first of all, Genesis, just in chat, Tusk, you said you used your stepping stone so you would not be raging.
Yes.
And I show
Oh,
you
is
have
that
the raging
applied?
on. You have raging on.
Oh, oops. Let me take that off.
And
That must have been left over from the other battle.
I didn't. So you said you had a readied action?
Yes, I didn't apply it because Kreck was going right after me. But I moved and used my bonus action and then held my action to attack until after Kreck went.
Okay, now you're running both characters. I'll let it go this time, but you wouldn't know what he would do. So next time,
Okay. Sorry, I had role played before
go
that.
ahead and do that.
Kreck wanted to do a big area spell on the people, so he had notified everyone before we went.
Go ahead and take a jack.
Okay.
Because Craig is usually lightning guy. You wouldn't know that he was going to slow them and make them easier to hit.
Okay.
To be fair, Logan has used
Mhm.
slow before.
Yep, last week.
Mhm.
To great effect.
Because it was a held action, do I get 2 attacks or just the 1 attack still?
It's one. It's a readied action and it's one action, which for you includes 2 attacks.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. You just don't get all the bonus action things for.
Yeah. That's why I'm doing my regular attacks. And yep, there we go.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. So what do we see?
After Kreck's little thing takes effect, you watch as Tusk takes advantage of both Kithri's sling bolt hitting it and the slowed movement of its already lumbering foe, and takes a two great swings of its like left leg, kind of hitting one side and then bringing it around very quickly and damaging the other side, kind of just below the knee.
All right. Very nice. Okay. Now. All right. So we heard him cast spells, but he sees you right up there. He's going to.
Mhm.
There we go. All right. So you see a goblin step out from behind the pillar, throws a javelin at you.
All right.
Rolled off a 17. All right. And then, so he's going to move back. Okay, now it starts to get fun because we have a mage. Let's see, he's doing this. So that means it's a double click, okay? All right, so he's going to do 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, so Krek, you see a little goblin dressed in purple robes step forward. Bonus action, huh? And then do a cantrip. All right, so he's going to blast out, and you see these two, this little bolt of fire come flying at Krek.
Oof.
So he gets blasted with this little bolt of fire, and then it quickly turns, and this little spark comes wafting toward Krek. That's it. All fireball. There it is, 20-foot radius. And it's going to go right here. And it goes just behind Krek and explodes. And this big waft of fire goes blasting out into the hallway.
Fireball.
I guess I'm glad that there's some water to roll in behind us.
And go ahead and give me an intelligence check or an arcana check for Krek, whichever one you wish to do. It's going to say a DC 12. It's going to be pretty easy.
Yep, that was correct. Has my picture, but it's correct.
I didn't expect Tusk to have a +7.
Well, I didn't. I told you at the time when I went to the esteemed barbarian college. It's very well known. You should have known. Anyway, sorry.
All right, yeah. So he's going to realize that this is a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Because
It is violent.
only a sorcerer can cast 2 spells like that. All right, so let's get back to the fun. Let's see. It's a pretty easy save, sadly. Shift. Click. Click. 3. Can I change this? Let's see.
What? I rolled very poorly.
All right, so as this blast goes off, Kithri manages to avoid everything because she's the rogue type person.
Speed.
But Genesis and Krek only take half. So instead of taking 33 points of damage, they only take 16. As this fireball goes off.
Ouch.
5, 10, 15, 20.
Would like to state for the record that hurts.
I wonder why. Just dodge. Forehead.
Oops.
To be fair, Jen's con is halved right now, so you know what? I am proud of her for making that concentration check.
Not 20. With a d4 added to yourself.
I'm very proud of her.
Steady aim. All right, let's see what that does. Nice. Okay. All right, so this guy is using that. All right, so he's going to go down. You see a gap and run forward. Goes down to one knee as he pulls out a short bow, carefully aims at Tusk.
Ashley's in the chat over here trying to prove she's a better healer than Jen is.
No, I'm not. I'm actually just worried about your well-being, but thanks for your vote of confidence.
I know, I'm just being a butt.
How dare you!
All right, and so the shot the arrow goes flying past, and the first one misses, and second one doesn't even come close. All right, so he's sort of growls at himself. right, Genesis.
Ashley redeemed a boost of healing for Jen.
There you go. Go ahead and give me 1d8 plus 5.
Yeet.
I was
You're
gonna
good.
roll it on my own, but then I was like,
All right, so it's still a 6. Not bad. It could have been worse. It's one of the reasons why I chose to do it this way instead of doing like a normal healing potion. This 2d8 plus 4, stuff like that. I wanted the minimum to be at least 6. So,
well,
guys,
hey, I mean, I am showing how nice that 6 is.
oh yeah, if you guys
Yeah.
if you guys are gonna spend your points, I want it to be worth it, and but not crazy. So,
Mhm.
all right. So as you get blasted back by this fire, you stumble, trip in the water a little bit, and it splashes on you, and it's very refreshing.
Mhm.
I think as she's heading out, I'm not sure that she really like paid attention to differentiating the goblins before, but like she does know that there are multiple. So I think as she heads out, she's like, "Okay, Crack, which one did that?"
A damn sorcerer.
And you point over
That's
to the
good
left,
enough.
up and to
Yeah.
the left.
Which one, Crack?
The sorcerer, the one wearing the purple.
I don't show you moving. Are you moving? Have you moved?
No, sorry, my phone's
Okay.
been wigging out on me.
I will say, for those of you who are not watching the stream at the moment, when I actually said the goblin the first time before Sven said he points to the left, I actually pointed to the left on in person.
And I think that, like, at the moment, she is at 25, and I'm pretty sure that stairs are gonna be, you know, difficult terrain. So, I
So
think she's...
if you guys can get into the habit of letting me know how far you want to move, so that way I can know.
Yeah,
I
sorry,
know sometimes you have to wait and see how much you can see and stuff, but it's a minor detail, but it just makes it to a little bit clearer for everybody. Cool. So you run up. Jen. Oh, I forgot. Tusk, give me a perception check.
Okay. Do skills, perception, roll.
So as you were here, Jen. All right, Tusk, you as well. Both of you noticed movement from way below, or somewhere below the nets. And if you take the picture I sent you of the hill giants, and grab the picture, slide it up so that you're looking down below them to the south of the pictures I gave you, you will see the creature that's underneath these nets sort of drifting by.
Noted.
Yeah, I kind of found that one accidentally. I had a moment of, oh no.
All right, so you have moved there. What would you like to do?
From where she's at, can she see the purple-robed goblin?
You do not. You see a goblin over to the right who is down on one knee with an arrow. I mean, with a short bow, shooting at Tusk. That is all you can see. Everything is 10 feet up, and then columns, and you can see it's lit up there. There's torches up there, but that's all you can see.
Well, you know what? I do have a light crossbow that I barely use, but I do keep it with me. I I think Jen's gonna be like, okay, well, stairs look a little daunting for right now. And she's just going to try to shoot at the goblin that's to the right. I'm not sure how hidden he is right now, though.
From where you are, you have a clear shot.
Nice. Nice.
So for those of you
So
watching,
actually,
looks like
even though she does have a clear shot,
the
I'm
flood.
going to go ahead and use my clockwork amulet.
So it's called a grell. For those of you, the flood from Halo. I presume the flood is a creature. Yep, they're called grells. And these little pointy,
To get
sticky
a
things
10 on the die, plus my
stab you.
bonus, which is 6, so it would be a 16 to attack him with the light crossbow. But I'm just not feeling lucky today, so I didn't want to actually roll.
Understandable.
I already used my one nat 20 of the week, so.
Alright, so as it so happens, 16 for this guy is exactly what you needed. So you don't have to use the floating +2 we so have.
Nice. In that case, I am just rolling damage. That is some nice damage we got there.
Whoa.
That is nice. Max damage. So what do we see?
Again, Jen's con mod is 9 right now, and it is normally 18. So she's rushing forward like she normally does because she's bad at spellcasting but really good at stabbing things. So she kind of makes it to the stairs and she's like kind of breathing heavily and she's like, you know what? And she turns and just kind of gets like a glimpse of this guy's movement and she's like, and so the she pulls off the like crossbow from where she keeps it at her hip and just kind of like points over to it, and I think one of her like many necklaces glows for like half a second, and then just the arrow kind of just appears in his side. Or not the arrow, the bolt, but you guys know what I mean.
Alright, go ahead and click next if you're finished.
Technically, she can do more, but I don't feel like it, so next. Bonus actions are for people who have the dash as a bonus action.
Alright, so this one is there, and he's going to do this. So Tusk again between the two pillars. Actually, he's going to do. Does he have that? He does. He's gonna. So you see, he steps into the square of another goblin. So there's two right to your left, and he's going to throw his javelin at you right there. And you see the movement out of the corner of your eye and are able to move out of the way. Now the fun starts. Let's see. What is there?
I would like to skip said fun. Fun is not up my alley today.
If
Today
you'd
is
like
for
me
kids.
to reshare slow, I can do that.
5, 10, 15, 20.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, so he's reaches down, and this huge boulder comes flying at you.
At who? Greg?
No, a tusk from
Oh,
the
Tusk.
giant is throwing
Okay.
a boulder at him.
Okay. That's better, actually. Well, gosh darn tootin'.
Ouch!
Alright, so you dodge out of the way of this javelin, and you go to turn back, and you're just slammed up against. Actually, let's see. Does it actually move you at all? Alright, so unbelievably, it does not. I would think it
Have a
would, but
bruise
it
there in the
doesn't.
morning.
I'm gonna say you're so close. Go ahead and give me this roll. Athletics, drink.
Okay.
DC 30. I'm gonna say he took 15. I'm gonna say this. Alright, so it's not really supposed to happen, so. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm
There
just
we
gonna
go.
say it's more of a luck thing than a strength thing. Wow, you still almost failed, surprisingly enough. So yeah, so you stumble back a couple steps, go underneath it for a minute as this rock just slams into you, and rocks you back. And but you're able to keep your feet, and not get pushed back, not get knocked prone. And this thing turns to the goblin next to him, who has moved, and points, see, and laughs as he points at you.
Rude.
Well, the goblin missed him twice. He hit him, so.
Yeah.
Alright, so it did not do. Oh, I forgot. He doesn't have the on turn thing. I forgot. So, I'll leave it up to you. Do you want me to roll every time, or do you want to drop it on him?
Just drop it on him if it would make things easier for you.
Alright, yeah, so do it to Lace Gloves. Go ahead and do it to the other guy. Hill Giant 10 to his turn, and we'll see if he saves at the end.
Okay. Do-do.
Okay, this is a success for a 10. His DC was like 17 or some crap.
What the heck? Why is it like that? Here, give me a second to check.
Yeah, this is versus DC 8, and I'm almost
That's
positive.
weird.
I'm almost positive his DC should be 17, because I looked at last week. I was like, that is crazy. So
That
they did not save.
weird.
And we'll fix it in a minute.
Yeah, that's huh. Yeah.
All right, so this guy has his. Let's see. What does that do? All right, so he doesn't need to worry about that yet. All right, and if you would please apply Reckless to him.
Hill Giant 10.
Yes.
Sure. Give me a quick second. Do-do. Reckless Tech. Giant 10.
He has this large spiked club that he's. So you get rocked back by this rock and boulder almost and you step forward again, and just as you step out from underneath this large spiked club from slamming down, slams into you. Again, you would think being hit by a giant
Would
right
hurt
next
more.
to him, you would get knocked down, but it doesn't. All right, so you take a bunch of damage. We are at the top of round 2. He gets to go again.
Mantha redeemed a magic surge for.
I feel chaotic today.
Oh boy.
From Hill Giant 10. All right.
Hill Giant.
I meant the lace gloves one. I was like, ah, yes, 10's on the right, but it is not.
Oh, okay. Okay, so go ahead and do you remember how to do it? It's /DIE space 1D 10,000 without the comma. And I can say that again if I need to. I went through it pretty fast.
Wait, it's 1,000?
10,000
10,000, okay.
without the comma.
/die. 7,215.
If nobody was, or I don't think anybody here was there for the Starfinder the other day, but there were a few magic surges. It was fun. All of them were on PCs, though.
So, quick story. We have a game on Thursday, and 2 of them were redeemed. One of them made one of our players, who is a Wild Surge Barbarian, dangerously insane until sunset. And it was 8:10 in the morning. The other one is anytime the person uses magic, streams of water spurt from his ears
Oh,
for 5
nice.
seconds.
Oh, it was every time you used magic?
Yes. Now
I thought it was just a one-time thing.
it's a he's a fighter, but he's an Echo Knight, so he summons his Echo. So every time he summons his Echo, he's only done it once so far. He doesn't realize it's still there, but these streams of water come spewing from him. Anyway, getting back to what we're doing, and like I said, we also have the Nightlight one from Starfinder. All right, so
Nightlight.
to 15.
When you're done with that, actually, I have another thing for you, Sven. Not in the chat, but for Krek.
All right, so you see this thing. All of a sudden, its head starts dripping a little bit as these granules of sand start coming from it, and it looks like his entire head is made out of sand. And as he's laughing and pointing, this dust is coming out of its mouth as it's talking and pointing at Tusk.
It's not horrifying in the slightest.
Bum 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 bum, Mr. Sandman.
So Sven, real quick, I am unable to check off Krek's spell slots. So could you actually check off his last 3rd level spell slot for me for when any class slow?
All right, so I'll do that. I'll be doing that in tier. Let's see. Here we go. It's 3rd level.
Yep.
Click. All right. So he has 1 second, 1/4, 2/5.
Yep.
All right, and then so the Hill Giant's going again. So get ready to drop it on number 10.
So,
all right, and it does, let's see, disadvantage. Yes, it still shows that he is reckless. So we're good to go. All right, K3.
Wow.
All right, so again, this thing just reaches back, slams again with his. You try to dodge out of the way, but it just takes up too much space. And one of the spikes goes sliding down your back.
Mm-hmm. Dropping the save on him. Should be a DC 17, even though it says 8. I don't know why it says DC 8.
So they have a -1 to their wisdom, just for the record. So even though he rolled a 15, he only got a 14. So I have pretty much they're slowed for most of the fight, unless they happen to get an 18 or 19.
Yeah, and I am currently unable to interact with the specifics for his character sheet.
Oh, nice.
So I'm unable to try and mess with stuff to see if I can figure that out.
No.
But yeah, so I'll just keep saying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Yeah, I can do that. Thank you. Yeah, we'll just remember it's 17. All right, K3, what are you doing?
Moving.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I had wife aggro. All right. Here we go.
Move that far. With just my movement. Okay.
All right. And I presume you already did, because people are naturally curious. But if you haven't, look at the picture I sent of the giants. Move the whole thing up, shrink it, whatever you need to do. Is down below it, you'll see a lovely little creature, and you see that floating since you're running along these nets. You see them floating down below the nets. You see 2. They're not attempting to try to get out or anything at this point. You just know they exist.
Okay.
And those are medium creatures. Probably 4 feet from their widest point to, and from top to bottom, probably 6 or 7 feet.
Okay. Okay.
So here's what I was talking about again, Grell. The guy, the Grells.
Well, that's weird. But I am going to be attacking the hill giant.
Yep.
Because I don't know what those floating. You said people? Things? What were they?
Did you see the picture? Do you still have the picture open?
Yes.
So
How is it the other goblins?
If you scroll up, move. If you have a mouse, you can click on the center wheel and push up. It'll drag it, or use the little compass thing on the bottom and move the whole picture up, and then down below about 6 or 8 inches, you'll see another picture. Do you see it?
Yes, I do see it.
Yeah.
It's a brain.
That's what you see. I think you guys may have fought one before. I don't remember. If you have, it's been a long time.
We fought one a while ago. I don't know who was and who wasn't there at the time.
It sounds familiar, but I can't 100% place what it was.
It's a weird creature.
All right, so you say you're attacking the hill giant.
Mm-hmm.
And a shocker, you hit
advantage?
It because he's reckless.
Mm-hmm.
The hill giant is? Oh no.
Yeah.
That's testing. I should. Wow. Dice.
Wow.
Whee! Not too much damage, but it's okay. So she unloads another sling bullet into its maybe it's like his hand where he's holding his weapon. You know. Gotta shake things up a little bit. And she's like kind of keeping an eye on these things and is like holding her Mage Bane if she sees anyone cast any spells, maybe to counterspell. But yeah, that will be her turn.
So the problem is, from where you are, you can't see anything from that ledge above you. It's 10 feet up, and you're right at the base of it. So, even if somebody comes over to the edge, you won't be able to see them. Just so
Okay.
you know. And you would have
Might
seen it.
run on top of the stairs soon then.
You would have seen the conversation that Genesis and Craig had when he pointed to the sorcerer is up on that ledge. So
Right.
now that you're where you are, you can see down below, and there besides the pillars, there's nothing under there, and it's cobwebs and dusty. It's clear nobody's been over there for a while. It's a good place to hide, though. All right, so you are done. Click. Did you use your bonus action for something? Did I miss it?
I did not. I was thinking about using my bonus action to move up the stairs, but that's only if you're allowing me to.
Yeah, I'll let you use it. You haven't done your cunning action yet.
Wow.
All right, so you get to see a little bit more. And because you get to see it, everybody gets to see it. I still don't know if I like this idea of letting everybody see everything, but it's good for the stream, so we'll keep it for now. I just don't like having the stream eyes visible. It looks weird to me. All right, so that's what you can see for now. Oh, one other thing. Let's see, there it is. All right, that's what you see. It is now that person's turn. Oh, he's the guy right in front of you. So he's going to slash at you with his scimitar. And misses. As you come running up the steps, and he misses.
Dang it, I don't have any level 2 spells left. Dumb.
All right, so he's going to step up into the square that bodyguard is sharing and stab at you. And he slashes at you with his scimitar and then steps back. They have an ability that allows them to move away without opportunity attacks. Tusk.
Shifty little gun. All right. Sorry, just thinking. Kithri has finally met some foes that are as shifty as she is. Tusk is going to rage, using his last rage of the day. Oh, and I'm going to real quick rearrange my stuff real quick. Turn that on, turn that off.
So for the stream, while he's doing that, Tusk wears these, I think they're called Pants of the Berserkers. I might be wrong with what they're called, but
Yeah, berserker pants.
They're just regular pants. And as long as he's not raging, he gets a +1 to his armor class. And when he rages, he loses that +1. So it's a pretty cool little thing that he got.
Yeah. They also cast Prestidigitation and Mending on themselves daily at dawn.
That's right. I forgot about that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jed no longer has to mend his pants for him.
And now Tusk is going to do his usual reckless root weapon master attack. I know that the other guy did reckless, but that is what he always does, and so that is how he will continue to do. Definitely
Nice.
hits.
17 and 18. Nice.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice damage, and I'm gonna
Nice.
roll again. Yeah.
You really like rolling close numbers, don't you? And I'm just rolling 19 and a 20.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just checking some stuff. Yeah.
32
So
and
you
31
watch as
damage.
he
Nice.
kind of finding receiving like the second attack from this giant right here, and already feeling this like massive bruise he's on his shoulder from where the boulder from the other one hit him. He kind of lets out this beastly yell at this giant right in front of him, and takes his axe into the other leg this time. Let's two more strikes to both sides of his leg just below the knee, but these ones cutting in just the more deeper, with almost enough force that you think they would actually the wounds would almost meet, but due to the thick bones of this giant, they don't quite yet.
Very nice.
And that's his turn. Let me pass real quick. Yeah.
All right, this guy also is going to move up, attack with a scimitar. And slide on back. Guy across the way is... Alright, so he saw Kithri move up. He's actually going to shoot at Kithri.
No.
Ouch.
Don't do that.
You know what? That's the sharpshooter, right?
It is.
I think Jen is going to insult him. To try to make it not hit Kithri.
Alright, give me the roll. Your range is more than 25, correct?
I believe it is 30. And it says that I'm 30 away from him. No, never mind, it's 60. It is 60.
Yeah, you're fine.
And she says, "Are you always this stupid, or is today an off day?"
Is
And
60 feet for your bardic inspiration?
60 feet for the bardic inspiration and 60 for the cutting words. So, yes.
Wow, okay. I did not know it was that far. Awesome, so that causes
Surprise.
him to miss as he shoots again. And he's very sad at what you told him.
You hurt his feelings.
Good.
He rolls a 1. Alright, Krek, your go.
Okay. Krek is going to. He's going to Eldritch Blast the Hill Giant.
Now, keep in mind you cannot see any of the goblins up there. I'll take that back. You can see the one Kithri is fighting. You've seen, depending on how high you rolled, you may have seen one or two step into its square and fight her, but you do not see how they're positioned or anything like that. You cannot see that. And Genesis, neither
Yep.
can you.
Yep, which is why he's thinking of a more viable target, and seeing the giant hurt badly by Tusk. He's going to try and, with his little cantrip, release two Eldritch Blasts at it. It is 2, right?
Yes.
Yes. Oh. Here's the first one. hit. Here's the damage for that. Wound. And
Yeah, so you
here's
guys
the
can see
second
they've been
attack.
focusing their attention on.
Nice, another hit. And
The one
a
side.
little more force.
I've been ignoring the other guy. Hasn't
And
been
then
touched
he's
yet.
going to move. Oh, nope, that is the wrong thing. A
So
bit
if he moves
closer.
back and gets a 10-foot jump, he could jump over it, or he could go down 5 feet and jump across.
Ooh,
If he
actually,
does want to cross. Otherwise,
that actually would be better. So yes, here, let me cancel the movement real quick. So yeah, he'll
yeah, the easiest way is just to move down 5 feet and then to the east.
yeah, then he's going to run over for now here, and hide a little bit without actually hiding, as he kind of gets ready to move forward. His turn. Huh? Weird. It's not letting me pass the turn. Oh,
All right,
no, I was
Genesis.
just low.
Okay. So it is Jen's turn now. And you know what? She still has the light crossbow out. She's gonna just take another shot at this guy. Especially since he's trying to shoot at Kithri now. Like, come on. Like, Tusk can take a shot, but, like, Kithri, like... She's good at dodging, but still. Oof. I know that wouldn't hit, even with the +2. So, that's fine. So, she uses her action to shoot at this guy. And then, like, kind of, like, thinks for a second. And she's going to use her bonus action to cast Spiritual Weapon to try to whomp him instead. And for once, we are actually casting that at level 2, like it normally is. Wow.
Alright, so
Wow.
in theory, you should be able to pull the token from your where you put it down below, drag it and let go, and it should slap it down on the map.
If you remember from last week, I was not able to drag it because I was able to move it around the map. So I could not drag it down below.
Alrighty. I
I
clearly did not
think...
remember. Where do you want to...
let's do the square, like, just to the north of him. So, like, right behind that pillar there. Yeah, one up from the sharpshooter. Yep. And so that, so she shoots at him, and, like, I think he's probably, like, taunting her or something. So, while he's doing that, she goes ahead and tries to hit him again with something else. And that gets a good hit on him.
Oot. Just whack it.
Smack. Bonk.
Alright, so he gets
Give a bonk.
bonked. It's the second time he's been hit now.
And I think after that, she's like, she hears the goblins up the steps, and then she decides not to head up just yet.
Kithri's fine.
She's like, Kithri can handle herself, and I'm not feeling upstairs at the moment.
Yeah, so apparently I actually was using my spell slots, and I'm sad because I really wish I could cast a second level spell, but for once I don't have any spell slots.
Aren't you
Alright.
attuned to that rod of fire?
The it's time
For what?
for this. Weird, it's not showing the little blue things. Interesting. Oh, there we go. Alright, so now he's going to move up. Actually, the sorcerer says something, and he is going to 5, 10, 15, 20. So you see he climbs down, hangs from his hands, and drops below. Bloop. 20.
Thump.
And let me just read this. As a bonus action, he can disengage. All right, so he's going to disengage so that he can run by Genesis. And he's actually going to be one over to the right. All right, that's him. Okay, what else can this boy do? Let's see here. So Kithri, you see that there are now 4 of him.
Yeah, you're the same thing as me.
Kithri, did you actually roll for your mirror image last time you got attacked?
No, I didn't. Oops.
She would
Got the
not
number
have.
out.
I will try.
When did you cast mirror image?
Before
Just
we went into
looked
combat.
at everyone is like, does anyone want to do anything before we head in? And I'm like, I'll cast mirror image, I guess.
Okay, I totally missed that. Is it on your? It is on your thing. Okay, so yeah, I totally missed it. You said that. Duration 9. Okay, yeah, because you did it last combat when you weren't here. I think 2 combats ago. I don't remember. Anyway, cool. It's on your thing. So, yeah, I will try to remember that from now on. Would you go ahead and drop it on the sorcerers as well
I can't. Okay.
for me,
I'm
please?
like, I can't see him.
That way I don't have to try to make one. And then he's going to move.
Look at that smug face.
Two, 3. All right, and yes, it is a full action. All right, so now this guy's going to go again, and he's just going to keep throwing rocks at Tusk. Get ready to
All
drop
right.
the spell on him, please.
Yes. Scrolling.
As a miss, as it goes slams into the pillar next to you, behind you. Get showered with some dust and gravel.
That would be a fail versus DC 17.
All right, so it is round 3, so we're going to go ahead and stop here tonight. As much as I would love to keep going. So you guys surprised me a little bit. I didn't think you were going to keep pushing forward, as hurt as you were, and as many spell points you guys have and stuff. But you did, even when the chat bought you guys a healing before you started the fight. You still decided to go charging in. So it'll be interesting to see. I think you guys are pretty much. I don't know. Honestly, right now it's a good. It's not gonna be a TPK by any means, but one of you may go down if it really just depends on how the dice. At this point, it's not clear either way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest here. It's probably the healer that's going down.
Well, you never know.
Heal yourself!
I have.
That's right. And
Yeah.
Honey Badger.
Craig's starting to run out of spell slots, and
Yep.
you know, we're all really hurt, and we're all starting to run out of our abilities, and
I do
we
like the
got a lot of
setting.
foes.
This room is pretty cool. It's a cool room itself.
Oh yeah, it is a really cool room.
And how it's set up and stuff. And I was curious how you guys were going to engage the giants too, because one of them can throw rocks all day, but the other one pretty much is stuck. So luckily, you guys ran right up to him. So, but you've also
No,
been doing
we
some
just-
serious damage to this guy. You guys have done almost 200 points of damage to him. So he is not having a good day at this point.
Die already. Die already.
That's right. But Honey Badger said my joke was foul. It's do you know what you say when a poultry sees a pile of lettuce? Chicken sees a salad. That's right. And I did see that they are now in the process of they're doing experiments to grow human vocal cords in a lab. And the results speak for themselves.
How dare you? First of all,
I love puns. It was over here, like, coming up with, like, complicated, like, rock puns every time he threw a boulder, but I'm like, no, wait, not all of them are geology nerds.
That's right. All right, he says, if only laughing at dad jokes got you experience. Nice. Okay.
Depends if it's considered bribing the DM.
That's right. And with those, by the way, that brings us to 101 puns or dad jokes that have been said on my streams, across all my streams, that have been noted at least. Anyway, thank you guys for playing with me. I hope you guys enjoy it. This is said I'm having fun throwing these different monsters at you. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
And
It's
next
always
week
fun.
we're not playing this campaign. No, not next week. Let me look at my calendar, make sure I'm right. Oh no, next week we are. So we're switching. So for those watching stream, first of all, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for lurking. Honey Badger, all the interaction was great. That was awesome. Really appreciate it. But also in November, we're going to be alternating. So normally I do this campaign 3 weeks out of the month, and the second Wednesday of every month we do a special campaign. November only, we're swapping that. So next week we won't be here, more than likely. Things may always change, but second week of November we'll be here playing this, and then you won't see us again until December, more than likely. So thank you again for playing. Thank you for hanging out. Like, subscribe, check it out on all the socials and all that happiness. And whatever else you do, enjoy the rest of your day. Say goodnight, everybody.
good night.
Bye. Thanks for popping by, everyone.